Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions, and welcome to the first box office prediction for 2023. Woo! And today we're going to be talking about M3GAN. Yes, I know it's technically Megan. They wanted to be real clever with like the title with the three lines, and everyone's labeling it as Meg 3 Gan. So I'm going to treat this movie just like how I treat Fantastic Four 2015. I call that movie Fanforstic because that's what the title says. So I'm going to call this movie Meg 3 Gan because that's what the title says, okay? If you don't like it, too bad. So, yeah, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So let's get to it. Pros for Meg 3 Gan. This is from Blumhouse, or at least partially from Blumhouse, from Jason Blum. They've made a lot of horror movies, like a stupid amount of horror movies. It's absurd how many, but they've had a lot of hits under their belt, like a stupid amount of hits. Some of these were mainly because the movies were so cheap to make, but others were because the movies actually just did super well in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we gotta go all the way back to like the first Paranormal Activity. I mean, Paranormal Activity 1, 2, 3, even 4 to an extent were hits, even though 4 there was a pretty big dip in box office. Then there's Insidious, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then there's Sinister 2, not so much. The Purge 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 ish were all very, very successful. And then going through the rest, like the more notable ones, like there's Whiplash, which wasn't a humongous hit, but it got Oscars. It got J.K. Simmons' Oscars, so I'm gonna label it as a hit. Trying to go through like the Visit was a strong performer. Well, yeah, it did very well at the end of the day. Even the Ouija movie, as terrible as it is, I haven't seen it. I don't want to. I have no desire to watch it. It still did really well at the end of the day. Trying to scroll up. Split and Get Out were smash hits. Probably the biggest hits Blumhouse have ever made. At least two of the biggest hits. I think A Happy Death Day was a strong performer. Truth or Dare did well despite being god awful. Halloween 2018, another smash for Blumhouse. Glass did really well, even though it definitely could have done better. Invisible Man was like the last real box office hit we had before COVID came in and changed everything forever. Let's see. Halloween Kills, even with like, it did well, even though it fell off a bit from its predecessor. Still made a decent amount of money at the end of the day. I think it was like the biggest R-rated movie of the pandemic for a time. Then Black Phone last summer did super well, as it should have, because it's a really good movie. And now we're here with Meg 3 again. So yeah, lots of big numbers, lots of very successful films, lots of big money hits. So obviously that's a good thing. So Blumhouse, they have a track record where they can produce very strong movie. I guess very strong performers. And Meg 3 again definitely has the potential to be one of those strong performers, judging by the numbers I've seen so far. So yeah, Blumhouse's overall track record, I label it as a pro, even though they've had some misses, and I'll go over that when we get to the cons. But Blumhouse, I consider to be a pro in this case. Another pro is that this is partially from James Wan. He's a producer on this. He's also like very much like in the realm, well known for his horror stuff. like it's kind of crazy. I mean, he started Saw and Insidious and The Conjuring, three of the biggest horror series of the 2000s, of this century. Okay. So that should be enough right there. Um, I mean, he's kind of left, well, he's kind of in and out of the horror genre. He wants to do like different things, like how he does, like he did Furious 7 and Aquaman. Uh, and well, Malignant didn't do very well, which is a tragedy because it was just one of the most, that was one of the most insane movies I think I've seen in a long time. Um, but yeah, I mean, James Wan having his name attached to this is definitely not a bad thing at all because he has a lot of hits under his belt. Again, he started Saw, he started Insidious, he started The Conjuring, series that have lasted all stupid long time. Like Saw is gonna have 10 movies. Like the tenth movie is coming out this year, and the fifth Insidious movie is also coming out this year, and the next Conjuring movie is coming out, which is The Nun 2, this year. Wait, that? Oh my god! I just realized that all three of those series are having movies this year. And then there's Aquaman 2 this year too. What the hell? That is some insane, that is an insane coincidence. But yeah, having James Wan's name is a pro. So yeah, we're just gonna move on because my brain, just figuring out all these certain movies are coming out the same year is causing my brain to implode a little bit. But let's go to the next thing. Reviews. Reviews are very strong, way stronger than you would have ever anticipated for a movie like this. Its critic score is at 94%, its audience score is at 80%, and its cinema score is at, let me see, a B, which is definitely above average for horror. I mean, for comparison's sake, Black Phone had a cinema score of B plus, and Smile had a cinema score of a B minus, so it's right in the middle. And usually, cinema score is not very nice to horror movies. Usually, they get around like the C range, but if it's really bad, you get like a D or like an F, like in the case of The Grudge 2020 or The Devil Inside. So yeah, word of mouth is definitely above average for the genre. So word of mouth is a non-issue from critics, audiences. Everyone's like, this is a good movie. So yeah, easy pro right there. Another pro is the marketing. It's been very interesting. Like that trailer, that first trailer of any movie, like the first trailer is a real make it or break it moment. Like if you have a bad first trailer, that is gonna haunt your the rest of the marketing campaign. But if you have a good trailer, or at least a trailer that gets a lot of attention, that gets like a lot of buzz, that only means good things. Usually. In the case of M3GAN, that first trailer, oh my god. That trailer got a whole lot of attention. Like the trailer counts, that the view counts for those trailers are downright spectacular considering this isn't like attached to like a big brand or a big franchise or anything. I think the first trailer is like at 30 million views and the second trailer is like at 19 million views, which is crazy. But once you watch the trailers, it's easy to see why they went so viral thanks to some certain scenes. Like that first trailer, yeah, M3GAN, where she's like in the forest, like a scene where she's in the forest. She's walking and then suddenly she's on all fours just running. That happened. And then of course, how could I forget the dance scenes? Who who wouldn't forget about those? I mean, those dance scenes, I'm convinced those alone made people want to watch this movie. Because they were so out of left field and so absurd and so goofy. Just how M3GAN is doing like these elaborate dances with a soulless, expressionless face the whole time. It's just, it's it's a work of art. It's absolutely a work of art. And yeah, and so Universal, they knew how to market this. Like they knew what scenes to put in the trailer to get people talking, and it worked to perfection. So yeah, the marketing is a big old pro. because that first trailer made everyone want to watch it, or at least everyone looked at it and got really curious about the movie. So, marketing is a big pro. Another pro is that the weekend this is coming out, it's the obviously first weekend of the new year. Historically, Hollywood really likes releasing horror movies the first weekend of January. Why is that? I don't really know. I don't quite understand it, but it has worked for a long time. I mean, going back to say 2012 with The Devil Inside, sure, that movie was an utter train wreck, but man, that movie must have like the most effective marketing ever because it opened with like $33 million, which at the time was like really huge for January. And sure, it fell off the biggest cliff after that, but it still made a stupid amount of cash for its opening weekend. Then after that, there was like that Texas Chainsaw 3D movie that had a good opening weekend before it fell off the cliff. Same thing with like Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, the Woman in Black 2. What else? I'm trying to think. Insidious 4, the Lost Key, that did really well. That opened for like the first weekend of January. Escape Room did really well in 2019. The Grudge 2020 definitely didn't do well when that came out. And yeah, but apparently it's a good weekend to release a horror movie. You'd think it would just be October, but you're wrong. Sometimes there's other parts of the year where it works out, like in January or hell, even April for some insane reason. But yeah, the first weekend of January, not a terrible place. Even I guess we can count Scream 5. That was like the second weekend of January. It was still January at the end of the day. But yeah, first weekend of January, not a bad place to put a horror, not a bad spot to put a horror movie in. So I'll label it as a pro. Another pro is that direct competition is non-existent. The last horror movie that came out was Pray for the no. Pray for no, it was Pray for the Devil. There we go. I struggled for a little bit there. That was like way back in like late October. And ever since then there's just been no horror movies. So yeah, obviously direct competition is a non-issue. And it also helps that the next horror movie coming out is not till like the end of the month, and that's Fear. So yeah, no direct competition. Big pro. Another pro is that competition in general is really sad. I mean, yes, there's Avatar: The Way of Water, and that's still making money, and it's still going to be number one this weekend. But besides that, there's not a whole lot out there. I mean, sure, there's Puss in Boots 2, but I seriously doubt the target audience for M3GAN and Puss in Boots 2. I doubt those two audiences are going to eat into each other. I don't see that happening. And then everything else is just there. It exists. Barely. So, yeah. The real big competition is Avatar: The Way of Water, but I can but considering this and Avatar are two completely different genres, I could definitely see this surviving under Avatar. So, yeah, overall competition is another non-issue. So, lack of real competition is a pro. I mean, sure, there are movies coming out like after this, but none of them seem like big players. So it should be fun. So yeah, competition was lack of competition pro. And it finally we get to its Thursday previews. They are quite good. 2.75 million for comparison's sake. Let's go over some movies. Smile, that's a good comparison. The big horror movie of last year, and I clicked the wrong thing. I didn't mean to click the Smile. Here we go. Smile. A movie that was supposed to go to streaming, but they said, no. We have something here, and it went theatrical, and that was probably the best decision Paramount's made in the last few years. That had like 2 million in Thursday previews, and it opened with 22.6 million, and it had stupidly long legs for the genre. Um, so that's a good comparison. But we also have Black Phone, which came out last summer. Let's look at that. So Black Phone. Okay, that had a Thursday preview up $3 million and it opened with 23.6 million. Granted, it's kind of problematic to compare a January movie to a June movie because summer it's way easier to go to Thursday night previews. There's a little less to do. Every other time of the year, like summer is like prime time for Thursday previews. Every other time of the year, it's a lot harder. It's a little more difficult. So of course, Black Phone would have the advantage here, but M3GAN won't have to deal with so much like initial front loading. Because it won't be as like front loaded as say a summer movie. So still the comparison's still good, but I thought of another comparison. Escape Room from the good old pre-pandemic year of 2019. Well, technically the pandemic did start in 2019 in China, late 2019. So at least at this time there was no COVID. It wasn't a thing. So let's just say that. This had a Thursday preview of, let me see, $2.3 million. An album with 18.2 million, but that had decent-ish legs, considering it was kind of a lackluster movie. I mean, it wasn't like a horrible movie or anything, but it was kind of lackluster, but it still did well at the end of the day, and hell, it got a sequel. So, looking at these comparisons, I mean, they're all very favorable comparisons. I mean, the only Thursday preview this M3GAN hasn't beaten is the Black Phone. So it looks good in comparison to all these. So yeah, Thursday preview numbers, really strong for what this movie is. So that's an easy pro. And with cons, there's really nothing I can really say, at least nothing substantial I really say. Like, it seems like everything's going in this movie's favor. But I might as well mention Blumhouse's track record because it's not super great. I mean, I mentioned all their hits, but I haven't gone through like all their misses. And they have quite a few misses. So, I mean, Paranormal Activity 4 kind of underwhelmed a bit, but it still made a lot of money at the end of the day, so not really. Dark Skies existed. The marked ones fell off again, like for Paranormal Activity, even though it still made money. Oculus did okay. The Boy Next Door, The Lazarus Effect literally survived because they were cheap. Unfriended did fine. It wasn't like a big hit, but it only cost like $1 million, so it was really easy to make that money back. The Gallows only survived because it was cheap. The Gift did good. Sinister 2 underwhelmed a little bit, I think. Yeah, compared to the first movie, yeah, it underperformed a little bit. The Green Inferno, I mean, it's hard to imagine that movie was going to be a hit anyway, but Gem of the Holograms, oh my god. Oof, like this was like almost, I think one of the first big examples of like trailer backlash. I mean, when you think of trailer backlash now, you think of Ghostbusters 2016, the original Sonic movie, Little Mermaid 2023. You think of those usually. I know there's a bunch more I'm missing, or they haven't popped up in my head yet. But yeah, Gem of the Holograms like predates all of those. Everyone hated this movie. They hated the way it looked, and it was in theaters for 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks, and it was an utter train wreck. A complete just like why. And they have Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, which was only saved by its low budget, and that was the last theatrical Paranormal Activity movie we got. I mean, I know we got one on Paramount Plus, like in 2021, I heard that one wasn't so good, but yeah. The Darkness existed. Ouija did two did well, I guess Ouija Origin of Evil did fine. Incarnate didn't do so fine. Let's see, Belko experimented. Yeah, Birth of the Dragon definitely didn't do well. Lowriders and Slight did considering they were micro budget. Let's see, Truth or Dare made money despite being terrible. Upgrade didn't do all that well. Unfriended Dark Web, same thing. Happy Death Day to You underperformed. Ma did fine. Don't Let Go definitely didn't do fine. Black Christmas 2019, dear God. That is a movie I never want to experience ever. The most I've experienced is Chris Stuckman's review, which is like 20 plus minutes. That is the most I will ever watch of that movie. And I'm only going to watch it via that review. Because why would I subject myself to that? But yeah, that movie bombed pretty badly. Fantasy Island did okay despite being trash. The Hunt, okay. I can't be too harsh towards this because it was screwed by not only controversy, which caused it to get canceled for a little bit, if anyone remembered that. It was supposed to come out in 2019, but then like people saw the trailer and people were like, what the hell is this? And it caused a lot of political controversy. Even like Trump, when he was president, like, he commented on it, and it got so bad that they canceled the movie. Then they put it back on the schedule, and then COVID happened, and it was screwed anyway. So yeah, that's kind of a shame. But I'm not going to label it as a bomb because due to circumstances completely out of its control. Freaky could have done better, but this was like the early days of the recovery. So yeah, it was kind of screwed. Forever Purge did okay. Halloween Kills did okay, even though it fell off quite a bit from Halloween 2018. Firestarter failed. And Halloween Ends really underperformed, even though it still made money. That was not a fun time. And I haven't even mentioned, like, although this was like a Peacock movie, there was like the They Them movie that I heard that was an utter disaster. I haven't seen it. I don't want to. I've heard some really awful things about it. But yeah, but I'm not. There's no point even really mentioning it because that was Peacock. That wasn't like a theatrical release or anything. But yeah, Blumhouse's track record isn't the greatest, but that's it's a minor con at the end of the day. And that's really it. So, opening weekend, judging by the numbers I've seen, it seems like this movie's really gonna shoot past that 15 to 20 million that was initially expected. So, I'm gonna have a wide range. I'm gonna say it's gonna open between 20 to 30 million. Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. Between 20 and 30 million. Probably on the higher end of that. And its total word of mouth is really good, so I don't expect it to fall off a cliff like most January horror movies. It'd be insane if it did. So I'm gonna say I'm not expecting Smile level legs either. So I'm gonna say, 60 to 70 million dollars. I'm kind of being a little pessimistic, but I'm trying to play it safe. I don't want to make too many L's with my prediction videos this year, even though I know it's going to happen anyway. But yeah, 60 to 70 million. That's my final prediction. I'm sticking with it. And that's it for the weekend. Yep. I know technically A Man Called Otto is technically in wide release this weekend, like 600 theaters, but it's going to expand much wider next weekend, like 3,000 plus theaters. So I'm going to talk about it then, because I'll have more to talk about then. So yeah, this weekend is just going to be M3GAN. Now next week, we got a bunch of movies. 3 I know are coming out. The other I don't think so. But the 3 I know for a fact I'm going to make prediction videos on are House Party, Plane, and A Man Called Otto. Ooh, not exactly a strong weekend, obviously. And the next week, the week after that isn't much better. There's like missing, women talking, Alice Darling. It gets sad. It gets sad. It's not gonna really improve until we get to February. So think of this as like the peak of January, the first week, which is a really sad statement, but hey, that's just how it is. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage. Well, actually, I don't. This is the only video in that playlist. But so as of right now, obviously that's gonna change in due time. But for all the prediction videos I made last year, you want to watch any of those? Go right ahead. That way you can just see like how well or how terrible I did on a lot of my predictions. So if you want to watch those, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I only covered M3GAN once, and that was because I think this was supposed to come out. Um, let's see. It was supposed to come out the 13th, like next weekend. That was when Babylon had its January 6th date, but then that moved to December, and so that left an open spot. And Universal like, let's put M3GAN there, and yeah, that's what they did. And boy, it sure worked out for M3GAN, and it did not work out for Babylon at all. Granted, that movie was probably gonna bomb anyway, no matter what date it landed on. But yeah, yeah, and that was episode 163. And so I made like 100. So yeah, if you want to watch that episode, go right ahead. And there's also like I made like 170 episodes of canceled. So if you want to watch any of the past cancel episodes, go right ahead, binge it all from beginning to now. I highly encourage it. Go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I did the December recap Thursday. I did that. I know I stopped doing my 2022 double recap, the winners and losers. I'm planning on doing that this weekend. So stay tuned for those. And for the January recap, that I won't be making that till I guess the first week of February. Probably likely in between like 80 for Brady, Knock at the Cabin, then Magic Mike's Last Dance. Somewhere likely between that. Maybe earlier. I mean, it's not like there's going to be a whole lot to talk about when it comes to January movies. But it'll be the first week of February. It should be, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.